When boys step on the threshold of adulthood, it is very difficult for them to control their emotions. In such a situation, when they find the company of a woman, they do not see what they are doing and they do not even think about real relationships. The same thing happened to me when my eyes widened when I saw the dress in which my aunt had come to my room at midnight. I had never seen a woman in such a dress before because I belonged to a village and my aunt was a city woman, so my aunt's complexion was enough to stun me. As soon as my eyes met my aunt's eyes, I lowered my gaze in shame. My aunt sat very close to me, and the fragrance rising from her body made me uneasy. I was a young boy of 19 years old. It was very difficult for me to control my emotions at that hour of the night, but I knew that the woman sitting in front of me was the widow of my late uncle, so I had restrained myself from every action. But suddenly my aunt placed her velvet fingers on my lips, and then she came closer to me, so my heart forgot to beat. Then Auntie leaned into my ear and said something that completely surprised me. I had never thought that after Uncle died, Annie would have called me to her for this purpose. Annie seemed like a very simple woman to me, but I never thought that something like this would happen in her heart. Annie wanted me to be her uncle every night with my strong body. My name is Aslam. I belong to a small village in Sindh. I had never seen the city. That's why when my mother told me that I would have to go to my late uncle's house in Karachi, my happiness knew no bounds. Our entire life was spent in the village, and I had never even visited the city. My heart wanted me to go to the city and breathe in the free air there. But ever since Uncle had gone to the city, no one from the village was allowed to go to the city, because after going to the city, Uncle had completely changed and had broken his childhood engagement from the village and married a girl in the city. Since then, our elders had not allowed any boy to go to the city. 6 months ago, when Uncle returned to the village, he did not return on his feet, but in a white shroud, and our urban aunt also came with his body. We all saw our urban aunt for the first time, and we were amazed, because she was so beautiful and young that we could not believe that she was our uncle's wife, because Uncle was not only older, but also had a very dark complexion. We all thought that Uncle must have married some girl like that in the city, but seeing Annie, everyone's guesses were proven wrong. Uncle's sudden death had made everyone very sad. We came to know about Uncle's death when Aunt brought his body to the village and told us that Uncle had suddenly left this world. Uncle had met with an accident, and this news had broken everyone. Uncle was the youngest and was also very loved. That was the reason why he stubbornly went to the city and even got married as he pleased. But who would have thought that his body would come to the village like this? Only 2 days after Uncle's death, Aunt had gone back to the city because she had a daughter and she had a problem with her education, so she did not stay in the village for long. However, after going to the city, she started calling the village occasionally. While Uncle was alive, no one had accepted Aunt, but after Uncle's death, everyone started talking to Aunt. All the boys in the village had hoped that now the gates of the city would open again for us, because Aunty's contact with us was enough for that. Then suddenly, my mother had said that you will have to go to the city to see your aunt. I was very surprised to hear this and asked, "Mother, why are you sending me to the city all of a sudden?" My mother said, "Your auntie called me. She is very worried. She is saying that the business is constantly suffering losses. Your uncle was running a business there. Your auntie doesn't know much about it. That's why she is worried and wants someone from the village to come for help." She told me this on the phone, so I immediately said, "Okay, I will send my Aslam." Before he tells anyone else, or anyone in the village finds out, and he decides to go to the city, go to the city. Your uncle's accumulated business will be in your hands. It will be fun. Your auntie is a city woman, but she is simple and a widow. Whatever you say, she will agree to it. Slowly take over Uncle's business so that your foothold in the city can be strengthened and our lives can also change. I praised Mother for her cleverness and said, "Mom, you have acted with great intelligence. This is a very good thing. This is how we can truly live our lives. How long will Father continue to work on the land? He has also become old." Mother quickly packed my belongings, and when Father returned in the evening, Mother whispered in his ear. Father said, "He is a young boy. If he goes to the city and follows in Uncle's footsteps, what will we do?" Mother said, "Don't worry. Your brother also did not suffer any loss by going to the city. He had also married such a beautiful girl, and his business had also stabilized. If my son follows in uncle's footsteps, I will not be sad. Mother sent me away from home under the shadow of her prayers, and I happily boarded the bus going to the city. Mother had also given me the address of uncle's house. After a full 6-hour journey, I was standing at my uncle's door and was surprised to see that it was not my uncle's house, but a whole big bungalow. An employee took me inside where my aunt was already waiting for me. She was happy to see me and said, "Aslam, it's good that you have come. I wanted you to be the one to come to my city. When I saw you in the village, I felt that you were like your uncle's daughter-in-law and can fill the gap in my life." My aunt said this in such a way that I was shocked. My aunt smiled and said, "Go to your room and relax, then we will talk in detail." My aunt had given me a luxurious room where every urban facility was available. It was my first time in the city, so I was surprised to see all these things. I had just freshened up and laid down for a while when the door of the room opened and my aunt came in. I stood up and sat down out of respect for her, but she smiled and said that there is no need for all these things. "You lie down comfortably. I know that you are tired after the journey." Aunt had sat down very close to me, and such a fragrance of perfume was rising from her presence that after smelling it, I was getting intoxicated. Aunt's closeness was melting me because she was very young and beautiful. Aunt slowly came closer to me and said, "Aslam, promise me that you will take your uncle's place and do exactly what I want." Aunt's manners were enough to seduce me, but I controlled myself and told Aunt that you should not worry. I will obey everything you say. Aunt smiled openly at my words and said that there are still a few hours left before nightfall. You should get some restful sleep because then you'll have to work very hard all night. I was surprised by what Aunt said and asked, "What will I have to do at night, Aunt?" Aunt pulled my cheeks and said lovingly, "I will make you work at night. I have called you here so that you can stay close to me at night instead of your uncle, because I am sure that you are also as nervous and young as your uncle, and you will not let me miss him. I have spent these 6 months with great difficulty. Every night, I have missed your uncle a lot. That is why I want to give you your uncle's place." Aunt left the room after saying this, and I wondered what Aunt wanted to say. I got up and looked at myself in the mirror. I was exactly like my uncle, tall, wide, and nervous. Only my complexion was not as dark as my uncle's. I was very red and fair and looked beautiful. I felt that Aunt had taken a liking to me. If that was the case, I was ready to please her because this could change my fate. If I had to work hard at night, I had to sleep right now. I lay down to sleep with joy in my heart. Then at 11 o'clock at night, I felt as if someone was waking me up. My eyes opened, and I was surprised to see Annie. She was dressed like a bride, wearing a red dress and wearing a lot of jewelry. It didn't seem like she was a widow. Auntie's beauty was at its peak. I was completely stunned to see her. Then as soon as I sat up, Annie put her hand on my mouth and softly said something in my ear that sent a shock through my entire being. I couldn't even imagine that Annie would cross the limit of shamelessness and say such a thing to me from her own mouth. My entire being was sweating. I opened my eyes in surprise. I was looking at Annie. She herself held my hand and stood me up and said, "Come with me." I followed her silently. Annie first took me to her room where she's seeing her daughter sleeping soundly. She smiled and said, "Nina won't wake up before morning." Annie slowly closed the door of the room again and took me to the other side of the bungalow. Annie's hand was in mine, and my heart was beating fast. Then Annie took me to a big room, and I feel very ashamed to tell what happened after that. I spent that whole night with Annie and did everything she wanted. Annie was also very happy with me. When morning came, she was exhausted and said, "You are a stronger body than your uncle. Because of you, I have found peace after so many months. Now you will stay with me every night." I wanted to refuse Annie because after what had happened last night, I was not happy at all. My conscience was reproaching me. It was easier for me to go back to the village than to please Annie. That is why I stammered a little and told Annie that I am feeling very tired. "I cannot do this. You should send me back." Hearing my words, Annie came closer to me and placed her hand on my lips again. Her closeness was disturbing me again. Annie started saying, "What is the matter with you here? I will rest all day. You will get a place to sit and eat. I will send you 1 lakh rupees every month to your house. You just have to take care of my happiness." Auntie herself held my hand and left me in my room, and before leaving she locked the door of the room from outside. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I started feeling very ashamed. All this was very difficult for me. I was thinking about my late uncle. I kept walking here and there for some time, but I felt that it would be very difficult to return home from here. Anyway, Auntie had locked me from outside. I had neither a mobile phone nor any means of contacting anyone. I had worked so hard with Auntie all night that now I was feeling bad due to exhaustion. So I fell asleep as soon as I lay down on the bed, and then I slept until late evening. In the evening, Auntie herself woke me up and smiled and said, "You are very tired. You have to work like this every day now." I got up and sat down. I was very ashamed to see Auntie. I wanted to stop Auntie, but before that Auntie put her hand on my mouth and said there's no need to say anything. 2 or 3 days will pass. Your shyness will also disappear, and you will start liking all this. I am surprised that a young boy like you is getting worried instead of happy after seeing so much beauty. Actually, you are from a village. That is why you are hesitating, but if you spend 2 or 3 days with me, you will get used to it, and then you will never even think about leaving here. I have sent money to your house. Your mother is very happy, and she has sent a message for you that you have to work here with all your heart so that a pucka house can be built in the village. Saying this, Auntie smiled very charmingly. Her clothes were still smelling very strong. After listening to Auntie, I became completely silent. How could I tell Auntie for what work Auntie has sent these lakhs of rupees? After sitting with me for some time, Aunt got up to go back and said that she would come to pick me up at night. She had also sent me new clothes so that I could get ready at night. Ever since I came here, I had not been able to talk to Uncle's daughter Nina. She probably stayed locked in her room all the time. I freshened up and thought that I would spend some time with Nina. But as soon as I tried to leave the room, I found out that Aunt had locked me in again and left. I held my head. I had come here thinking that I would take care of Uncle's business, but here I was having to take care of Aunt. A week passed like this. Every night, Auntie would take me with her, and then I had to spend the whole night with Auntie. I was mentally very tired. If I had just walked, I would have escaped from here. But Auntie's guard was very strict. She would not let me out of her sight, and when I was in the room, she would lock me from outside. Whatever I was doing it under great constraint. But Auntie was very happy with me. She always said that you have made me happier than my uncle. Because of you, I have found a lot of peace. Now I will never let you leave here. And then, slowly months passed. I convinced my aunt that I was very happy with this job, and that I did not want to leave her anymore. In fact, I could not live without her. When my aunt was completely convinced of this, she also relaxed her guard a little. Then one day, seeing an opportunity, I ran away from her bungalow and boarded a bus going straight to the village. When I reached the village, my mother was surprised and even angry to see me. She said, "Your aunt is sending so much money every 15 days. Then what was the need for you to come back? Why didn't you work there with all your heart?" Hearing my words, I hugged my mother and cried and said, "I cannot do everything that my late uncle did. It is not easy for me at all." Hearing my words, my mother got worried and said, "What has happened that you are shedding tears like a woman?" And then I told my mother what my aunt had said to me the first night, putting her hand on my mouth. My aunt had told me that my uncle did not die in an accident, but that my aunt had killed him because my uncle had refused to make him happy. Hearing my words, my mother was surprised and said, "Aslam, what are you trying to say? Are you okay?" Then I told my mother the whole story from beginning to end, why my aunt had called me to the city, why she had married my uncle, and what she wanted from me. Hearing this, my mother's eyes widened in surprise. Amma also got scared and said that if you have come to the village secretly like this, then your aunt will definitely come here looking for you, because now you have known her secret. I told Amma that whatever happens, I can't go to Aunt's place again. I'm not able to meet my eyes every night. It is not possible for me to do what Aunt wants. Amma said that if that is the case, then we will file a report with the police so that your aunt cannot do anything bad to you. Mom was right. So I told Dad the whole story, and then we filed a police report against Auntie. But Mom was still not satisfied. She said, "Before anything worse happens, you should go somewhere far from this village for a few days." Then Mom sent me to my aunt's village. I started farming with my aunt in my aunt's village, and now it has been 2 months since I lived in this village, But whenever I think of Ani, my heart starts beating strangely. When I first entered Aunt's bungalow, I had no idea what would happen there. But when Aunt came to me and told me that he was my uncle's murderer, my hair stood on end because Uncle had refused to listen to Aunt. He could not please Aunt every night. That's why Aunt had killed him, and Aunt wanted to give me Uncle's place. She used to trap the simple men of the village in this way and get them to do her work. In fact, Aunt was a heroine, and as soon as night fell in this bungalow, the house would be filled with people. Not only would girls dance there, but also buying and selling transactions would be settled. Aunt kept me there for her own protection because I was a tall, broad young man. That's why Aunt always kept me with her, so that no one could cast a bad eye on me. Think of it like I was doing Aunt's guard duty in a way. Aunt had told me that Uncle did not know when he got married that Aunt was a heroine, but when the wedding was over, later, when Uncle found out, he also became angry with Ani like me. But then Ani made him join her work by giving her love and the connection of Nina. For some time, Uncle continued to do this work happily, but then after that, his conscience started to reproach him because he had the soil of the village in his soil, where the honor of a woman is given great importance. That is why Uncle refused. He wanted to return to the village, and Ani had him killed for this reason, and then took his body to that village so that he could choose someone else for himself. When he came to the village, at first glance, he thought I was exactly like Uncle. That is why he gradually called me to the city through a thorough plan. She wanted me to not only protect him for the rest of my life, but also work for him in buying and selling girls. This work was very difficult for me. At first, I did this work out of fear, but when, like Uncle, my conscience also started reproaching me, I saw an opportunity and ran away from there. Did I first convince my aunt that I was happy with this job, and then one day she left? Is my aunt still looking for me, or has she hired someone else? I'm not aware of this. However, I'm definitely saddened by the fact that she was openly buying and selling girls in a city like Karachi, and no one was going to catch her. I did not like the urban atmosphere at all. I was very scared of what I saw there. The whole city will not be like this. I am aware of this. But if such work is happening so openly in the city, then the law needs to be guarded. This means that the grip of the law is weak. What is your opinion on this? Do you also think that prostitution is now happening openly in big cities? I have heard that now women stand openly on the streets at night and make their own deals. Is this true? I have only seen the city once in my life and have repented that I will not go to the city again. Do you people think that my thinking is right, or that I should go to a city and try my luck again? Currently, I am in my aunt's village and am very happy with this simple village life.